The May banner is finally here, and that means it's probably Fallen Heroes, I think, I'd guess. I mean, it's possible we get Engage here, but I kinda highly doubt it. Maybe they go Fallen Engage, and they just, like, throw all the spoilers at us, and they're like, hey, you know what, it's been 4 months, like, if you haven't played the game, it sucks to be you. I'm not really sure. Let's jump in and see if what we get. Oh! It's 3 houses again? Wait, what? How is it 3 houses again? I feel like people are going to be very not happy about this. Just because we just got 3 houses, like, literally last banner. Okay, so we have Captain Sword, and what this essentially does is you have Slaying, you have Obstruct, which is very unusual. I guess I think Obstruct is good now, because, like, Bulwark has Obstruct, and everybody loves it, but I'm not so sure how I'd feel about that. I mean, it's okay. You get +5 to all stats, and then you get to neutralize those bonuses, so that's like a dull effect essentially. Then you get 7 healing, and then you also get advantage effect if your speed is greater than foe speed. So this is really interesting. It seems that female Byleth, they're trying to go with like a Vantage playstyle, right? She has Divine Pulse, which is Brave Byleth's like PRF special, right? So that's what they're going for. So like essentially what will happen is they'll attack into you. Hopefully you hit them first, right? You get that nice damage from Divine Pulse. You deal a whole bunch of damage there, and then you also get the damage reduction that can't be pierced, right? Which is pretty strong. Honestly, it's really good on Brave Byleth. I think it's a bit underrated at the moment. I'm not sure how good this weapon really is, though. I'm not completely sold on it, and the reason for that is just that like all the effects on it aren't amazing. They're like good, but they're not like top tier broken, right? Like Obstruct is pretty mid, if we're being completely honest, right? It can be useful, but it's not like the effect you're looking for. +5 to all stats is nice, but you technically want like more stats, right? Like a Lyric, like, I can't even know, a Lyric is like 14 or something, like something ridiculous like that. Being able to neutralize everybody's bonuses is nice, but once again, it's not like the effect you're looking for all the time. But it is going to give Byleth like a giant speed advantage over her enemies, right? Because she can stack buffs and they won't be able to. Really, the cool thing on her weapon, in my opinion, is the Vantage effect. I think that's really, really cool. It's really unique in some ways, right? It's pretty much like a speed preempt, but like for all weapon types instead of just range. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And the Divine Pulse plays into it really well, right? Because it's going to make it so that she doesn't have to run something like Godlike Reflexes, right? This is like better than Godlike Reflexes in a lot of ways, which I really like because it's only 2 cooldown also. Okay, now let's go on to Distant Attack Speed Solo. So we have unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. If unit is not adjacent to an ally, grants attack speed +5 to unit during combat. I've been waiting for them to kind of improve Distant Counter because Distant Counter has been so under budget when it comes to effects, right? Like if you compare Distant Dart to attack speed finish, right? There's such a giant gap, right? Distant Dart, you only get speed when the enemy attacks and you get Distant Counter. That's it. Attack speed finish, you're getting like, you know, true damage, stats, and healing. So it's cool to see that they are finally seeing that Distant Counter is a bit weak and they're finding a way to improve it. Now, this is really good because obviously you're going to get attack and speed in both phases as long as you're solo. So that's really good in my opinion. This is like really strong actually. Now the question is like how easy will it be to stay solo? In Ether Raids, it's pretty easy, right? You never really have anyone within, like, adjacent to you in Ether Raids. Typically, you have 1 unit within 2 spaces, so they can buff you, and that's it. So in Ether Raids, this will be amazing. In Summoner Duels, I'm a bit more nervous about it, just because a lot of times you will be in those formations where you have to stick, like, really close to your units, and losing Distant Counter at that point might, like, lose you the game. So I'm not completely sure. The other thing though is in Summoner Duels you usually do have like a far save to protect you, so you don't always need Distant Counter. So it's a very interesting skill. I'm very happy it's in the game, and I'm interested to see how people end up using this because I think it is really powerful, and it's just honestly, in my opinion, just better than like Distant Dart by quite a bit. And then we also have Close Call 4 and Times Pulse 4. Whew. The fodder on this unit is actually ridiculous, right? If you sacrifice a single Byleth, you can get like Close Call 4, Times Pulse 4, and then probably the new Distant Counter, unless there's some kind of prerequisite that we don't know of. But if it's just Distant Counter, right, you can get all 3 of those off of 1 inherit, which is really, really, really good. So like this is like a treasure trove of fodder. Okay, now when it comes to Byleth's game modes and roles, when it comes to roles, obviously she is trying to be that Omni tank, and she's trying to be an Omni tank via Vantage, right? She's trying to like fulfill that role that like Ninja Camilla has, or even like Altina to an extent. The cool thing is though, of course, is that she has that speed preempt effect, so she doesn't necessarily have to get hit, and she can even heal herself up if she does get hit. So it can keep her really healthy and make her really difficult to kill, right? Because if you can't outspeed her, she might just one-shot you. And if you actually do get get to hit her, right? Like, let's say you take a hit from her and then you hit her. She has, you know, actual damage reduction you can't pierce through. So it's going to be pretty hard to kill her. I think this unit's actually going to be pretty solid in those roles of like the Omni Tank and like the Vantage unit. When it comes to the other roles, I can't really see much else. Like, you could technically use her as a Gale Force or something like that, but I don't think she's going to do like an amazing job at that or anything like that. The other notable thing is that she doesn't have like no follow built into her kit, but you can get that from outside sources, so it's not the biggest deal, but that is something to note, right? Because Brave Byleth does have that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much what she's going to be doing role-wise. When it comes to game modes, I think Ether Raid's offense is by far her best role, like hands down. I think she will be really good in Summoner Duels, like maybe during a Myriad season, right? Because then you can even change her A skill to something better. But overall, she'll just be pretty good in Summoner Duels as well. I don't know if she'll be top tier though. I don't know if she'll be like Lucia tier in Summoner Duels, but she could definitely, with enough investment, be that strong. Okay, let's move on to the next hero. Is that Fallen Maria? Is that Fallen Maria? What is this guy? The art's really cool. That is really, really cool art. And that's a really cool staff. Please say no. Please say I didn't just see that. Please say I didn't just see that. No, Fire Emblem heroes. You can't do this. Does she give out Miracle and a heal? Does she give out Legendary Phase Special as a drive? If that's the case, I don't want to even think about this. Okay, I see some stuff. We don't care about your attack. Let's see what the... Oh, I'm really scared now. I'm really, really scared this unit's going to break the game. Okay, so we have Sacrifice Staff, and this looks pretty meta warping. I don't really like it, to be honest. It has Dazzling Staff, you have Slaying, you can't fully charge your special, so you can't like have a fully charged Miracle on Maria herself. And then if she initiates combat with two phases, she gets plus 5 to all stats, and then she also gets anti-guard. But the big deal right here is the drive. So she gets a drive effect where she gives plus 4 to all stats, which is already pretty solid. But then she gives a Miracle drive, and this is like Miracle, like real Miracle. This isn't like Ymir Miracle where like you can kind of get around it. This is like really, really, really powerful Miracle, the kind you see on Legendary Fae, essentially, as her special. Now, this only activates once per map per team, but this is still completely and utterly broken. Like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I don't like this at all. I think this is gonna ruin a ton of game modes. Why would they make this? I really, really dislike this. Because think about this, like, okay, in Summoner Duels, when you're playing Summoner Duels, a lot of times, like, it's like you trade, right? You go in, you kill their far save, they trade with you, maybe they kill your far save, and that's how it goes, right? But now, you have Maria on the team with the far save. They go to kill your far save just miracles, goes back to full health. Now your nuke that you put out in the front to nuke their far save is just vulnerable to die, right? But maybe then you have Maria, and then Maria saves your unit. So essentially, it just gives every team that has Maria an extra life. And I think that's stupid. That just like is stupid. I don't like it at all. I think this unit's ridiculously just bad for the game. I don't think I've disliked the unit this much in a very, very long time. I really, really, really dislike this. Yeah. Oh, I don't like this at all. Okay, we also have a new special, Holy Panic. It's a 2 cooldown special. If an assist skill is used, the unit special cooldown count does not go down. When special triggers, boost damage by 25% of foes' resistance. If special is triggered during combat, inflicts attack and speed -6 and panic on target and foes within 2 spaces of target after combat. This is pretty cool. I like this. You don't really need to have like a lot of cooldown for this. It's only 2 cooldown, which is nice. And it does inflict panic, which is good. I think gravity is still better than panic, but panic can be pretty solid, especially in game modes like Summoner Duels when people like try to stack stats, right? You can use panic and kind of like ruin that to an extent. But there's also a lot of no panic running around, so it's not the biggest deal in my opinion. And there's also units like Legendary Robin who can make panic like actually a positive for their team. So I'm not completely sold on Holy Panic. I think it's okay. Now when it comes to roles for this unit, obviously she's a healer. So where are you going to use her at? I think her role is going to be a support unit, and she's going to be used like maybe on Ether Raid's offense and maybe on Ether Raid's defense, and probably Summoner Duels, absolutely, right? Because if you think about it like this, right, you put her on Ether Raid's defense, and you put her near your far save, right? They engage, they try to kill that far save. Well, your far save just got back to full health, right? Use her with Femortis. They go to kill Femortis, Femortis goes back to full health, Femortis ends one of your turns. That's toxic. That's going to be so strong on Ether Raid's defense. That's going to be so annoying to deal with. I don't ever want to see that. And maybe I'll do it just to piss people off. I don't know. But like, I don't like that. And then on Ether Raid's offense, you can use her with like an Omni Tank, right? And an Omni Tank can go in, and even if the Omni Tank dies per se, they get healed back to full health, and they're fine, right? You could use this with a Vantage unit. You could use this with Altina, right? You put Altina out there, you don't even get her into Vantage range. All the enemies attack into you, let's say. They do some damage, she goes into Vantage, starts killing stuff, and then their Hardy Bearing unit comes up to kill Altina. Well, now Maria just heals them back to full health again. And Altina just sweeps the team. Like, this unit is so broken. I don't like this at all. I'm hoping I'm reading this wrong in some way or I'm misunderstanding. Because if this works exactly how I think it does, I think this is just like game breaking and stupid. Let's keep going. I'm honestly... Oh, there's more. There's more to her kit. Oh man, that's too funny. I think this is a very bad sign. Like, this might be the unit we look back on and was like, when did Fire Emblem Heroes get toxic and it's there? Oh, it's Anankos. Anankos isn't a mythic? Why is Anankos not a mythic? That doesn't make sense to me. Anankos is a god. Like, Anankos is the mythic from Fates. Why would you not make Anankos into a mythic? That's stupid. Well, they're finally in the game, so everybody's been waiting on Anankos. Like, congratulations, they're finally in. Okay, so we have Silent Breath, and this weapon's a bit weird, honestly. You get Slaying, and then if the foe initiates combat or the foe's HP is greater than equals 75%, you get +5 all stats, which is pretty standard. But you also inflict all stats minus X on the foe, which is based off their visible stat bonus. So if they have like a visible bonus of like +6 to attack, now they're getting -12, right? So it pretty much like punishes them for buffing their unit, which is okay. It's not my favorite effect because it pretty much relies on the opponent to be using buffs to get really an effect out of it, right? If they don't use buffs, there's nothing there. Then you also get 20% of the unit's speed as true damage, which is really nice. Love that. Always love to see true damage, especially on a tanky unit like this. It's gonna allow him to kill some stuff. And then after that, we also have reduces damage from first attack by 7. This is okay. I don't really get it all that much. Like, it's 7, so it's not pierceable, I don't think. But like 7's just not that big of a number. So like, it's okay, but it doesn't seem amazing to me. I'm not even sure. Like, I felt like it would be better if they were like, just reduces damage by 30% the first attack, right? Like normal. Seems a bit weird. And then lastly, you have adaptive damage, which is pretty typical for every dragon. And then we have Noontime, Kestrel Stance 3, and Savvy Fighter 4. Ooh, now this will be interesting. Okay, so Savvy Fighter 4 looks interesting. You do get those extra stats, right? You can never underestimate being able to get more stats. And attack, minus attack is pretty good because it's essentially giving you defensive res, which is nice. And the -4 speed definitely helps you win those Savvy Fighter checks, right? But then it also makes the checks just easier. Instead of being speed -4, now it's speed -10, which makes it way easier to make that check and to get that damage reduction. And the damage reduction is higher now. Instead of being 30%, it's 40%. So nice little upgrade to Savvy Fighter 4. Nothing insane, but overall definitely a big improvement. Now when it comes to Anankos' roles and what they're going to be good at, obviously this unit is going to be a save unit. Now I don't think they're going to be the best far save unit. I think they're probably better off as a near save, but they could do a far save as well, right? There's no reason they really can't. You're going to be a speed stacking one though, so you definitely need to stack a lot of speed. It's going to be really good against those units, those offensive nukes who rely on speed, right? Because if you can outspeed them, they're not going to W you and you'll probably be fine. If they do outspeed you, you're probably going to die. That's what we've seen with these speed save units typically. Either way, I think he's going to be pretty good at that. They're going to be like pretty useful in like Aetherhead's offense again. I wouldn't really recommend using them on Aetherhead's defense. I think you're always better off just using a fully defensive save for defense teams. And then when it comes to summoner duels, I could see them being used possibly. It really depends on how fast they could be. Being able to like ruin people's like stats via buffs is cool, but it's not like the best effect, especially when a lot of people are running things like Legendary Robin, right? And they're really relying on debuffs more than anything instead of visible buffs. So there is that. I think Anankos will be good, but probably not like the top tier save. Probably like right below top tier in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I wish Anankos was a mythic. It just doesn't make sense to me they're not. Okay, so we have a new rearmed hero. What are we going to be getting? It's Risen Chrom. And that art is so good. Wow, that art is so good. Holy crap, that art looks so good. Sword Cav again. So we have another Sword Cav Chrom. Man. Arcane Devourer. Oh god, I didn't think about that. They have what you call it. They have Fate Changed. Oh no, Fate Unchanged. Right, that makes more sense. Fate Unchanged. Oh, I'm scared. So we have a new Arcane Sword yet again. So this seems a bit weird because we still don't have the Arcane Dagger, right? We don't have like all the Arcane Tomes or an Arcane Staff. But we're doing another Arcane Sword, which is interesting. So let's check this out and see how good this is really going to be. Okay, so we have a new arcane sword. We have slaying, plus 5 to all stats, some special acceleration, which is really nice, 40% damage reduction against the opposed first attack, and speed-based no follow-up. Honestly, this is a pretty solid weapon. I do like this. I like that this is more geared towards fast sword users than the last arcane sword was, right? That one didn't even have speed on it at all. So this is pretty nice. Is this broken though? I'm not completely sure. It's a bit weird in my opinion, to be honest, because it kind of has some of the defensive effects that you'd really want for like a more tanky sword, but then it also has some more offensive effects. The special acceleration will be nice for Gale Force, right? You're going to be able to go in, get Gale Force quite easily. The damage reduction will keep you alive, and the no follow-up will allow you to double and not get doubled as well. I think this is a pretty solid arcane weapon. I'm not sure if it's the best arcane weapon. It's definitely up there though. I'm not sure. I think like the last arcane lance we got and the first arcane sword, and then maybe this one are like top 3 possibly. Yeah, I think so. It's pretty solid though. It's definitely better for like the fast sword units. Okay, now we have Fate Unchanged, and I'm really horrified because every time you get a Chrom now, you get one of these assist skills, and they're always ridiculous. So we have Fate Unchanged, we have your typical Fate move, right? You have Reposition, it inflicts isolation on Chrom and their pair-ups, so you just can't like spam it, right, essentially. But the really cool effect here is it inflicts exposure on the nearest foe within 4 spaces, of both Chrom and the person they're repositioning as well. So that's pretty strong. We've seen how good exposure can be. It's pretty ridiculous. He's getting plus 10 true damage per hit and really turn the tables and get things killed. And being able to do it on demand with an assist skill is pretty scary. But that's not all. It actually spreads. So it also spreads to any foe within 2 spaces who can trigger your Savior. So all your Savior armors now are also going to get exposure put on them, which just makes it easier to kill those near saves and far saves, which is a bit scary. Now, when it comes to all of these, comparing all of these between the Chroms, right, I don't think this is the best one by any means. I definitely like the Valentine's Chroms way more. I think it's just way more universal, way more powerful. This one might be tied for second between this one and Brave Chroms. I'm not completely sure. Those are both pretty good. But we also have Legendary Chrom coming up, and he's going to get a remix of that skill as well. So we'll have to see what he gets. But it's interesting now that we're going to have, right now we have 3, but soon we'll have 4 different versions of this Fate Changed assist skill. I think this is good. I just don't think it's like game breaking by any means. Then we have Gale Force, and we also have Attack Speed Clash 4, which is some great fodder. Okay, so we have Speed Defense Snag 4, inflicts Speed Defense -4 on foe during combat. If a movement assist skill like Reposition, Shove, Pivot, etc. is used by a unit or target's unit, inflicts Speed and Defense -7 and Sabotage on nearest foe within 4 spaces of both unit and target ally after movement, and on foes within 2 spaces of those foes equipped with a skill that can trigger the Savior effect through your next actions. Okay, so now we have a Speed Defense Snag 4. Honestly, Speed Defense Snag 3 is pretty bad in my opinion. I don't think it's worth running almost ever. This one does seem like a bit of an upgrade, right? You're getting some free stats, which is nice, and you still are inflicting that Speed and Defense -7, but now you're also getting Sabotage, and Sabotage is a very powerful debuff to be able to hand out, right? We've seen this on Mark, and it really lets Mark just like shred through units. It's a lot of more stats than you would imagine, and it's really powerful. So being able to do that, and it not only like hitting them, but also spreading and hitting those saved units as well, it definitely seems like they're trying to add in some tech to weaken saved units, which is interesting, right? Because we did see Emblem, and she turns off saves, but we really haven't seen all that much since then, right? And Emblem can't really be seen everywhere. She is seen in Ether Raids and like some summoner duels, but not all the time. So it's interesting that they're adding more like soft counters in through these skills. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm kind of glad to see this. I don't know how meta this skill will still be. I think it's good, but not amazing because it takes up your B skill, which like, because a lot of times you need to run like a build defining skill in that B slot. So I don't know if people are going to really run this, but maybe it's possible. When it comes to roles for Chrom, obviously he wants to be a Gale Forcer, but he's also going to just be a great bruiser, right? Being able to go in with that special cooldown, hit some bigger specials, kill some stuff, and then maybe being able to get out there too. If you put like a trace skill on him so he can actually Canto, that would be nice as well. When it comes to actual game modes, I could see him being maybe used in Ether Raid's offense as a Gale Force unit, but probably not, honestly. There's probably just better Gale Force units you could use other than Chrom. And when it comes to summoner duels, I kind of feel the same way. When it comes to summoner duels, I think if you're going to be using a sword cav, right, I think you're just better off using other units. Like you have Brave Seliph, right, and Legendary Nana. I think they're both going to be better than this Chrom typically. Even with a Fate Unchanged, I don't think it's enough to make him like a top tier sword cav where you use him in summoner duels competitively. He can be for sure used in SDS, but like I don't see him being ever used in SDR. especially because you could use Brave Chrom. I think Brave Chrom just fulfills that role a bit better. It is a lance, so you're getting different colors. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm seeing Chrom. Seems like a solid unit, but I think the sword and the clash skill is much more interesting to me than the actual unit himself. Not to say he doesn't look good though. His art looks top tier amazing. I just kind of wish he wasn't a Cav. I think sword Cavs are kind of overdone at this point. And our GHB unit would be Fallen Linus, which is really interesting because he's the first unit who has 2 Grand Hero Battles versions of himself. There's Hard, but Hard is like 1 Tempest Trial and 1 Grand Hero Battle. But now Linus is just 2. I'm really interested to see the art because I think it could be great. I wish it was kind of Lloyd though, so we could just have a new Lloyd whose art didn't suck. But it makes much more sense that it's Linus if you've played the game, right? So that makes sense. Now let's answer some questions about this banner, and the biggest question has to be, should you pull? Now when it comes to should you pull for this banner, honestly, I'm a bit hesitant on it. There is some like great stuff here, right? Obviously, one of the biggest thing is the Arcane Sword on Risen Chrom, right? It's going to be a very good sword. It has, it's much better for speedy sword units. If you have a speedy sword unit you want to build, then this is a great chance to actually get an upgrade for them, which is really nice. There's also a ton of amazing fodder on this banner, right? Fallen Byleth just has like a treasure trove of fodder, so if you need that, that is a good reason as well. Anankos is like a good speedy tank, but not my favorite by any means. And then the final thing I don't want to talk about really is Fallen Maria, and obviously if you are a hardcore meta player, Fallen Maria is going to be pretty strong. Now she obviously needs some testing to make sure she works exactly like I think she does, but if she does, she's just going to be a broken unit, and you're going to see her all the time, and you're going to hate her because she's just going to ruin a lot of game modes. So if any of those reasons appeal to you, or if you're just a giant fan of these characters, right, Byleth and Risen Chrom are very, very popular, and everybody's been waiting for Anankos and Risen Chrom for the longest time ever. So if those are your favorites, obviously you should pull. Now, on the other hand, I think other than Fallen Maria, these units don't like stand out as like meta-dominant units. I think they're just good options of other things you've already had, right? Fallen Byleth is just going to be another God Sword with some vantage tricks, kind of like Brave Marth to be honest, but a bit more powerful, obviously. And then Risen Chrom is just another sword Cav. So if you don't really need those kind of things, right, or you don't need like another near save, then I don't think you really need to pull into the banner. The only exception, of course, is Fallen Maria. Some of the reasons not to pull, of course, is that the engaged banner has to show up eventually, right? Like there has to be, the engaged banner has to show up sometime, right? I'm not just on Copium, like, so if you want to save orbs for that, that's obviously a good reason. And then, of course, we'll be getting the bridal banner later this month as well, which might have some interesting units as well. So that's always a good reason to save. Personally, I would love to skip this banner. I'm not completely sure what I'm going to do yet. I think Fallen Maria is going to be kind of game defining, and I'm kind of afraid not to pull her. But at the same time, I hate her guts for existing, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Either way, now I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think of this banner? Are any of these your favorite characters? Do you love the Risen Chrom art because it looks amazing? And how do you feel about Fallen Maria? Are you as hateful as I am against her, or do you think that I'm maybe blowing it out of proportions and she's not going to be as strong as I imagine? Either way, make sure to drop a comment down below letting me know. And once again, I'd like to thank all my members for all their support. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later.